Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Today's topic is how to choose a home. Now, many of you have your own checklist of what you are looking for, such as the number of bedrooms and the number of bathrooms. However, I wanted to point out a few other things you should add to your checklist that you may not have thought about, or you may have thought about it, but you just didn't go in depth. So here we go with my list. Number one, of course, is the price, the most obvious. The best way to get a general idea of what you can afford, it's best to go to a bank or to a credit union and get pre-approved for a loan. Next, number two, if this is an investment property, then you want to find out how much income the property generates. If the income is 1% of the price of the home, then you know that you're going to get good cash flow. I know that there are some investors who don't invest for cash flow, they invest for appreciation. That is actually very risky. You never really know which way the market is going to turn. So it's really always best to go with cash flow. And many people, including myself, do believe that we're heading towards an economic downturn. So that's another reason why you want to choose cash flow over appreciation. Number three, location, location, location. You want to see how far is this property away from your home and away from your kids' school, or if there's any schools nearby, or if there's any other industries nearby. You see, one thing many people don't think about is you might want to change jobs. You don't want to change jobs and then have to change homes because there's only one industry nearby where you currently live. So try to choose a place where there's multiple industries nearby. Try to choose a place where, if it's not in walking distance to the school that your kids go to or can go to, that there is actually a school bus stop or some form of transportation that will take them to the school or take you to work. And you want to consider the time travel between where you live, where the kids go to school, and where you work. Next, it's best to buy a little bit more than what you need. So if you are a couple, you may want to think, and you're thinking about having kids, you may want to buy, let's say, a 4-family home or a 3-family. I'm sorry, not a 4-family, a 4-bedroom home or a 3-bedroom home, as opposed to a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom home. You also want to think about square footage, both inside and outside of the house. Maybe you want to expand. Maybe you want to put a deck. Maybe in the future you want to make a pool. Maybe you want to put a she shed or something. Always buy more than what you need. And definitely, one room in your home should be dedicated as an office. First of all, it helps you stay organized with your paperwork. And number two, having office space is a tax write-off. Next, number 5. You want to look to see, think about whether or not you want a garage or just a parking space. Or if you just want to deal with transportation, public transportation in particular. Me, personally, I wasn't even really thinking about a car because I live in New York City, so we really don't need cars. However, my mother convinced me to try and get a place that either had a garage or had a parking lot. So I chose the property I'm in now does have a parking lot, and it did come in handy for many years because we didn't have certain stores nearby. You had to physically drive out to them. If not, well, many of them didn't even have delivery. And then when they started to have delivery, it was like $50. Meanwhile, a car cut back on that expense drastically. But now, since more and more stores have come into my area, I don't need to have a car anymore. So when this car dies out, I'll probably get rid of it. Next thing, number 6, weather. When choosing a home and how it's shaped and what it has and what it's made of, the weather does play a part. You see, a pitched roof is better for the snow because the snow just falls off. If it's a flat roof, the snow will just sit on it. Aluminum siding on a home is good for insulation. High ceilings, even though that's attractive to most people, what most people don't know is that you're paying a higher insurance premium, and you're also going to pay more for gas to heat up that particular house than a home whose ceilings are only 7 feet or 8 feet high. Next, if you're in a warmer climate, you may want to consider central air. If the area is hurricane prone, then a home that is octagon or hexagon shaped is better in withstanding the winds and the rain that beat upon it. Concrete homes tend to be warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer, especially in the basement area. Attached homes. Now, a lot of people don't like attached homes because sometimes you can hear what your neighbors are doing. This does not occur in all homes that are attached, just in some of them. Mostly some of the newer ones are that way, not so much the older ones. But it all depends on what the walls are made up of, what installation is in between, etc. But one thing attached homes do, whether they're new or old, is that they do save you money on heating costs. Next, you want to look at the number of outlets that are in a house. You also want to look at how many volts are in the breaker. You see, my cousin, she moved into Co-op City when Co-op City was just becoming popular or whatever. And you couldn't have the TV and the air conditioner on in the beginning. You had to unplug one in order for the other one to work. So they did eventually rewire, but that's another thing that you may want to look into, especially if the home is an older home. You want to definitely check out the electrical, or at least ask the inspector to check that out for you and look for that on his report. Next, Wi-Fi, especially if you work in computers or you work in a field where you use computers a lot to type documents and what have you. There are certain areas where Wi-Fi is not readily available, and most of those are in mountainous areas. I know this from a lot of experience. And not just Wi-Fi, but even with the cell phone, the cell towers are not available everywhere, and particularly, again, in mountainous areas. So I would definitely be careful of buying anything like that. If you are in a wheelchair, steps might be an issue for you. So you may want to look for places where it's flat, where it's a ranch style house, there's no stairs in the house, or if you know a good contractor where they can actually build a ramp for you. Now, in New York, one thing that was a problem when I was looking was closets. There wasn't a lot of houses that had good closet space. I myself had to build my own closet in the property that I live in, just so that I could have a walk-in closet, because Unfortunately, the new homes at that time did not come with it. Again, that was a necessary item for me. It might not necessarily be for you, because I noticed that some people are into the minimalist idea of living. I would like to go into that route, but it's a little difficult, or it's a bit challenging for me to part ways with certain things, but I'll get there eventually. Anyway, closets was something that I needed to have for myself. Next, when you go on the property, you want to run the water in the bathtub, the sink, and you want to flush the toilet, because you want to check the flow of the water and the water pressure. Next, the next thing that you may have or you may not have is some properties do have a shared balcony. Notice that if you have a shared balcony, you're going to experience some noise from your neighbors. If you are a night worker, that can be an issue for you when you're trying to get some sleep during the summertime and you have to work. The next thing that a lot of people overlook are trees. You want to see how close are they to the house, and are they protected? The reason I say this is because the roots of the trees can grow into your sewage system and cause blockages, which means that your house will have a sewage backup. You'll have feces and everything all over the floor. Trust me, I've had it done twice. You don't want to deal with that at all. Well, my issue wasn't the trees didn't do it. It was the pipes were actually a little back pitch, they said. So they claimed that was the issue. But I do know someone where the roots of the trees caused the pipes to be back pitched and caused the sewage back up into the home. Another person, it just caused a regular flood of water in the home. And they live in an area in the Bronx near White Plains where the trees are protected, so you can't cut them down. You can have a plumber come out, pay him $300 to get rid of the roots, but you yourself, it's illegal to cut those trees down. California has a similar law as well. There are certain trees in California that are protected. You can't cut them down, even though they will mess up your house. So definitely keep that in mind. Next, go downstairs into that basement. Look at the date of the boiler and the water heater. If you're afraid to go to the basement, or if you're not sure, definitely that is something that you want to check with the inspector and have him get back to you on that. The reason why you want to look at the dates is because these things only last for 20 years. And the dates will tell you whether or not it's on its last legs or it needs to be replaced in a few years down the road. Both of them are quite expensive. Next, of course, you want to look at the neighborhood amenities, see how close the grocery store is to you, if there's a beach, if that's important, restaurants, if that's important to you, laundromats, things of that nature. The next thing that a lot of people don't do that they really should is they should talk to potential neighbors to find out how much do they spend on utilities. Does the area ever flood? Is there an HOA? Is there a block association? Are there fees, or what are the fees in belonging to the HOA or the block association? Once you have narrowed down what type of home you want to check to see if they have any code violations, any tax liens, HOA liens, mechanical liens. The way to do this is you go to either the county recorder's office, the clerk assessor's office. Nowadays, many counties, you can just Google it online. So you put the name of your county and you type county recorder or clerk assessor or county assessor, after the name of the county, and it'll come up. It may have a phone number on there in case you're not computer literate. You can call them on the phone and they can walk you through how to look for your property and see if there's any liens or any titles on it. Make sure when you are going to go to closing that there is a title insurance person there and that you pay for it. And I'm going to tell you why. Don't think just because this is a new community, a brand new home, that you don't have to worry about liens, because a lot of developers and general contractors are shady. They don't pay the subcontractors. So what do the subcontractors do? They put a lien on your home. So that's why, you should get title insurance. And that's why it's very necessary. Next, what I'm about to say is going to be very controversial. A lot of books say to you that you can negotiate on the price and that you should negotiate right away. I disagree. Take whatever price they say. This way it locks you into the deal. Even if they say somebody gave them a counter offer, just say, yes, we counter offer and we're going to go with a higher price. When you are doing the offering contract, just put down that the price is contingent upon whatever the appraiser says and whatever the inspector says, so that this way, this will give you the ability, you and your lawyer, the ability to negotiate the price. See, because if you start getting into a bidding war with them up front, especially if the market is a seller's market and not a buyer's market, you'll find yourself out of luck and you'll end up losing the property of your dreams that you really, really want. So just say, yes, I'll buy it at that particular price, but on the offering contract, just make sure this is contingent upon appraisal. This is contingent upon the inspector. There are other contingencies that you also should have and can have. You can have as many contingencies as you want, but you just make sure you have those two in it so that this way you can renegotiate the price. You can also put in it that it can be contingent upon title and upon any liens that are encountered as well, just to protect yourself and just to give you negotiation room. But you want to just lock, especially if it's your dream, just lock it in with that contract. And then when you go to the closing table and your lawyer is there, then the two of you, at that point, you can go ahead and you can negotiate on the price. So, well, folks, that is my checklist to you when purchasing property. I hope the information that I just shared will help you make smart financial moves. Please feel free to pass it and share it. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, good night.